services are closed, school is closed, you know, everything is closed. There's no water at all in the community.
Tonight, exiled during a pandemic. Residents of Neskantaga had to leave because of bad water and have no idea when they can go home.
Something has to happen with the medical system to make changes so that racism stops happening to our people.
And a BC woman was told by a hospital there was nothing wrong with her. Turns out her appendix was about to burst. Good evening. Welcome to APTN National News. I'm Melissa Ridgen. It's been days since hundreds of people from Neskantaga First Nation had to be evacuated from the community due to the shutdown of their water plant. And there doesn't appear to be a return home date in sight. The toll of a public health crisis during a pandemic is weighing heavy on the community and its leaders, as Brittany Hobson explains.
This unknown oily substance, found on top of Neskantaga First Nations water reservoir, prompted a community-wide shutdown earlier this week. Leadership has since declared a state of emergency and evacuated approximately 200 people to Thunder Bay. Former Chief Peter Munoz was one of them.
A lot of us wanted to stay back because of the pandemic, but we had no choice to come out because we have absolutely nothing in the community. Services are closed, school is closed, you know, everything is closed. There's no water at all in the community.
The community shut down its water treatment plant after the substance was found. While most of the members have left, some chose to stay in the community. They are forced to fill up water jugs from the nearby lake. This is a common occurrence for the community located 450 kilometers northeast of Thunder Bay. Neskantaga has been on a boil water advisory for 26 years, the longest in Canada. Current Chief Chris Munoz has watched members, including his own daughter, grow up without clean drinking water. He says it's taken a toll on him.
I've seen young mothers go to the lake to scoop water from the lake so they can bathe their children, so they can ration the bottled water that's being provided. That is heartbreaking. If I wasn't emotional about those, I don't think I'd consider myself a leader or human.
The community has had ongoing issues with their water treatment plant. In 2017, the federal government announced $9 million in funding to upgrade the plant. People were expected to have clean water by 2018, but the project fell behind schedule.
What we need to get out of boil water advisory, we needed a new plant, we needed a new distribution system. But right now we are being offered Band-Aid solutions. We are only getting an upgrade.
This is the second time in less than 2 years the community has had to be evacuated. Health Director Sharon Sakany says nothing's been resolved.
I want to be able to turn on my tap and drink the water, not depend on water bottles or, you know. It's been too long already.
Adding stress to the situation is the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Councillor Gary Creases says they are dealing with two crises.
You're trying to prevent the virus getting to your membership. Plus, you're worried about the community. You know, are we going to have water when we go back?
As of Friday, the community continues to be under a do-not-consume order. Leadership says Ottawa must meet some demands before they send community members home, including 24-hour access to running water, the installation of portable water treatment units, and the decontamination of homes in disrepair caused by water concerns. Indigenous Services Canada says they are working with the community to ensure they have the supports they need until water can be restored. Brittany Hobson, APTN National News.
Meanwhile, at today's COVID briefing in Ottawa, APTN asked Prime Minister Justin Trudeau if next March's deadline to lift boil water advisories would be met. Trudeau did not answer directly and would only say that they will be lifted soon. He was also asked why Neskantaga First Nation doesn't have the water treatment plant it was promised in 2018. Trudeau blamed part of the delay on travel restrictions due to COVID-19, but said the government is moving extremely quickly. Despite admitting that he doesn't know the details of the current situation there. He offered this.
Reconciliation is something that is extremely important to this country, and it is a process that will involve many steps forward and a few setbacks. It is difficult, as we all know, to end these long-term boil water advisories. Otherwise, other governments would have done it.
The situation over a housing development in Caledonia, Ontario has escalated yet again. Roads have been blocked and fires set. Rubber bullets were fired by Ontario provincial police officers, and there have been more arrests. This is as an Ontario judge issued a permanent injunction for land defenders to leave the site where a non-Indigenous builder has an agreement with Six Nations to build a housing development. Skylar Williams is the spokesperson for Land Back Lane Camp and also is named in the injunction. He was prevented from arguing to the court that the injunction was unconstitutional, but he joins us now. So thanks for joining us, Mr. Williams. What is the latest that's happening at the site with the OPP?
So far, right now, the OPP have backed off and are holding their positions all the way around our community once again.
So roads are blocked. So can people reach the site to support you and the other land defenders?
Yeah, no, you can certainly come in through the reserve on 6th Line. You can access us that way, absolutely.
Okay, so what does the permanent injunction that was handed down yesterday mean for you and the others at the land back camp?
Well, I think this is it's infuriating. I mean, the court judge in Haldimand County, Ontario, deciding forever the issue of land claims for Haudenosaunee people.
The OPP says that it used non-lethal force after the injunction came into effect. Can you share with us what it was like from your perspective last night? What went on?
Absolutely, and I think the cops coming in, shooting rubber bullets and tasering one man and continuing that history of violence that I think Indigenous people and racialized people across the country have been talking about forever.
The police had said that the rubber bullets were used in response to rocks had been thrown at officers. Did that happen?
I don't know.
And you were prevented from presenting. You were prevented from presenting your case before the judge. What would you have said if you were able to talk to him?
Well, I mean, I think we had tried to put a lot of our arguments forward as best as we could, trying to say that the systemic racism that's been built into the system has gotten us to the point that we're at today. That if we, as a community, don't have any other way to see land claims brought before these land claims tribunals and additions to reserve process being as broken as it is, if we don't have a clear path forward to deal with that in a way that isn't us spending, like for us now, almost 100 days in peaceful occupation of our territory, like this is, I don't see what other means that we have.
What is the next step for you guys?
Next steps for us is just meeting after meeting until we can get something resolved here.
Well, Skylar Williams, thanks for taking the time to chat with us there from Caledonia.
Absolutely, thank you.
A longtime advocate for women and girls claims that hospital staff in Terrace, British Columbia mistreated her after she was flown in by Medevac to get surgery for pain in her stomach. APTN's Tina House has this story.
Something has to happen with the medical system to make changes so that racism stops happening to our people.
Penny Kerrigan says it all started on the evening of Saturday, October the 17th, when she felt a sharp pain in her stomach. She was flown by Medevac to Mills Memorial Hospital in Terrace, BC for surgery from the remote island of Haida Gwaii. She claims after being left alone for an hour in pain, she asked for pain relief, but when a nurse tried to put in an IV line, she felt mistreated.
She's jabbing around, and she's trying to get it in the vein, and she just doesn't, and then she pulls it out, and she's angry at this time, and she says, well, we're going to have to go in your foot. She takes my calf right here, and she sticks the needle in, and she moves it around, and I'm crying until it goes, and she pushes it in, and she said, got it.
She says another nurse came in to administer the pain medication, but that was also painful.
This nurse took my arm, and she pushed the medication so fast, and I was going, ow, it hurts, it's burning. And she didn't even flinch, she just kept pushing. I could see her hand shaking as she was pushing.
After blood work and a CT scan was done, the doctor came to see her.
The doctor came back and he said, I'm discharging you because there's nothing wrong with you. And I go, what? I said, I have so much pain. And he says, there's no need to keep you because you're not sick.
So, at 11 o'clock at night, just hours after being medevaced there from Haida Gwaii, Kerrigan was told to call a cab and leave the hospital, despite still being in severe pain. Luckily, she had her credit card to book a hotel room, where we did the interview the next day. Just hours after our camera left, Kerrigan got a call from the hospital administration and got an apology. She was asked to return to the hospital. Upon second review from another doctor, she was rushed into surgery and had her appendix removed.
How are you doing now?
Her daughter Kim is relieved that she got the surgery, but angry at how her mom was treated.
I hear stories so much about people's appendix bursting. What if she had been alone and that had happened to her? And it was just mind-boggling.
Northern Health responded with the following statement. Northern Health takes reports of this nature extremely seriously. Discriminatory behavior in any healthcare facility is unacceptable and violates our principles, policies, and values. Northern Health has acknowledged systemic anti-Indigenous racism occurs within our health authority, and we want patients and Northern communities to be reassured that we are taking action in that regard.
Never in my life did I think that they would kick me out and not care that I would go to the street or to a bus shelter or somewhere. If I didn't have money, what would have happened to me?
Penny is now back home in Haida Gwaii recovering. She has filed a complaint with hospital administration and with Mary Ellen Chappelle-LaFond, who is currently conducting an investigation into racism in the healthcare system in BC. Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
Time for a break, but coming up, the murder of 2 Huron-Wendat children has Quebec Youth Protection Services in the spotlight.
She cried out loud, the DPG, she asked for help, She requested help. Was she answered?
Quebec's healthcare system is under scrutiny after the recent death of Joyce Echequan, a 37-year-old Atikamekw mother at a Joliet hospital, following the murder of 2 children from the Huron-Wendat community of Wendake, a city near Quebec City. The discussion is turning to youth protection, where several calls made to authorities went ignored. As Lindsay Richardson reports, First Nations say their children have long been failed by Quebec's child welfare policies.
The Huron-Wendat community of Wendake, a stone's throw from Quebec City, has seen sunnier days. They're mourning the recent alleged murder of brothers, aged 2 and 5. Their names are protected by a publication ban. A suspect was charged with second-degree murder and is due back in court in November.
The more we're trying to explain, the less we had words in it. We were not ready for that, and no one is ready for that. You're not ready for these kinds of wake-up calls.
In an open letter, the suspect's mother explained he suffers from mental illness. He sought help, but didn't get it. Siwi says the children's mother reached out to youth protection several times before their deaths and not once received assistance.
She cried out loud, the DPG, she asked for help, she requested help. Was she answered?
Siwi's community is trying to cope, holding a healing march in tribute to the children now known as Wendage's Little Angels. The Quebec government is promising an inquiry to find out what went wrong, but it's a familiar situation. Quebec also announced an inquiry in 2019 after a 7-year-old child died in Granby, east of Montreal. Her stepmother was charged with second-degree murder. A complaint made to Youth Protection went ignored. This week, Quebec announced that report, dubbed the Laurent Commission, will be delayed until 2021. But since the inquiry began, complaints to Youth Protection have shot up 12%. That means more than 300 complaints are received every day. And while less than 3% of Quebec's children are Indigenous, they make up 15% of the children currently in foster care.
J'ai carrément perdu ma langue, perdu ma culture, le fait de qui j'étais, tu sais.
Xavier Mouchoum was one of them. Using Mouchoum's story as example, in 2016, the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal ordered compensation for all child welfare survivors. Canada is contesting the ruling. They introduced Bill C-92 in response. As of January 2020, it gave First Nations the right to create their own youth protection systems. But Quebec is pushing back.
This is the only province in Canada who are in court, trying to say that the federal government did not have the right to pass a law that it falls into provincial jurisdictions and so on and on.
The Vienne Commission inquiry report makes more than 20 recommendations to overhaul the current child welfare system, saying for years it's been imposed on Indigenous peoples from the outside. But taking back control is an uphill battle. Quebec requires extensive proof that First Nations systems are more effective than the province's youth protection. It took the Atikamekw Nation nearly 20 years to line up resources before signing a deal with the province in 2018.
Il m'apparaît important de souligner qu'il s'agit de la toute première nation autochtone à avoir entrepris des négociations dans ce sens au Québec.
Even then, only 2 of their communities are covered by the agreement. The priority, keep Indigenous kids in Indigenous foster homes, a concern all over Quebec. One woman from Wahat Makmaniutanam in the Côte-Nord went to Facebook asking for help when she found out Youth Protection wanted her grandchildren. In Innu, she explains how police entered her home, grabbing for them while they tried to hide under the kitchen table. The community came out in droves to stop the apprehension from happening. In the end, another resident offered to take the children in, preventing them from being separated and sent to towns 200, 300, and 1,700 kilometers away, respectively. Meanwhile, back in Wendage, Siwi says no amount of analysis by Quebec can comfort the grieving mother.
I spoke to her father, and so the grandfather, and he said, "My daughter, she's not able to even to walk almost. She's sleeping. She's in bed. So could you imagine, the pain and the sorrow?" And how such an event could not only break a family, a community, a nation, and many more people also. It's not a question of First Nations, it's a question of human beings. We're all human beings.
A first report looking into the Wendage deaths is expected before Christmas, but improvements to the system were expected yesterday. Lindsay Richardson, APTN National News, Wendage, Quebec.
It's time for another break, but still ahead, a sneak peek at a brand new APTN Investigates.
You can see the worry in everybody, like the guys that actually made a living off the land, and our family too.
Welcome back. It's time now for our photo of the day. Look at this beauty. That's Porto Cove, located a short 45 minutes north of Vancouver, British Columbia. Beautiful. Thanks to Miss James for today's photo of the day. If you want the chance to see your photo be our photo of the day, you can send your picture to share@aptn.ca. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Off to the east coast, we got 15 in sunshine for Charlottetown, 17 in showers for Fredericton. Inukjuak and Kuujjuaq, snow and 0-2 and snow for Nain. Saint Jovite, 6 degrees and some showers. Val d'Or, 0 and mostly sunny. North Bay, 4 in sunshine, 4 in snow for Sault Ste. Marie. Kapuskasing, 2 in snow. Timmins, 2 but sunshine. -4 for Churchill, Thompson, and Puckatawagan, and snow there. Sunshine for Winnipeg, -2, 4 and -4 and snow for Brandon. -5 and sunny for Yorkton. -6 and a mix of sun and cloud for Saskatoon and Regina. -4 and snow for Stony Rapids. -6 and snow for Buffalo Narrows. -5s for High Level and Peace River, and sunshine there. -11 and snow for Red Deer and Calgary. -10 and snow for Lethbridge. -4 and sunshine for Quesnel. -1 and sunny for Kamloops. Smithers, -3 and sunny. -11 in Dease Lake and sunshine there. Lots of sun up in the Yukon too. -7 for Whitehorse. -10 for Dawson. -4 for Fort Liard and Trout Lake. Sunshine there. -4 and sunny for Tuktoyaktuk. -2 for Fort McPherson and sun. -8 and snow for Chesterfield. New Yacht, -12 and snow. Kenite, -1 and snow. Igloolik, -10 and snow. Resolute, -11 and snow. Next, we have a preview of tonight's all-new episode of APTN Investigates. Reporter Christopher Reed takes us to South Indian Lake in northern Manitoba and shows us the continuing damage to the ecology and way of life more than 4 decades after Manitoba Hydro began operating its Churchill River diversion. Take a look.
When APTN Investigates visited the Andersons in Leaf Rapids, the Churchill River was more swollen than ever.
There's a rapid that's supposed to be here, and there's a rapid that's supposed to be there. That's how high this water is. Normally you'd have to come in here and portage, use the canoe.
And we had to watch out for debris and other hazards. Some of the effects of a lake being flooded again and again. Dennis Anderson remembers the depth of the impact of Hydro's flow manipulations.
You can see the worry in everybody, you know, like the guys that actually made a living off the land, and our family too. The amount of fish, number one, that you were catching just plummeted, like overnight. You'd be sitting there cleaning whitefish, and because they like eating little clams and such, like off the bottom of the lakes and stuff like that, you'd gut them open and their gizzards or their stomachs would be just full of pine needles.
Well, that is your news for this fine Friday. I'm Melissa Ridgen. Thanks for joining me. Have a great night, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Stay tuned now for that episode of APTN Investigates.